The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. This is the first book that I read about men, masculinity, and love. I read this book about, 15 years ago, and it helped me understand men a bit better, especially from a point of view of how they express themselves emotionally, what issues they have growing up, how the patriarchy affects them. Because as women, I had later in my life, of course, when I was younger, I didn't even know the words patriarchy or feminism or any of that. But when I did eventually, then it was all about the feminist movement and how women have been discriminated against and how the patriarchy has harmed women, etc. There was always a part of me that wondered where men were in all this, because I didn't see men just as oppressors. I I knew my dad was an awesome guy. I had relationships with guys who were like me, like they were sweet kids essentially. So I always wondered, I was like, yeah, how we keep talking about the patriarchy and how it has affected women, and like, how does it affect boys? And I did not really hear a lot of conversation around that subject. But I suppose because I was conscious about it, it showed up in my reality by way of this book. I don't remember how I came across this book, and I have given this book to, I think, three men who have been important to me in my life at various stages. None of them have been able to finish it. Some reach page 15 and they're like, oh my god, I can't deal with this right now. There's one who reached page 5 and was like, there's no way I'm reading this right now. And one of them just said, this, I have other things to do, essentially. I can only imagine what it must feel like to be confronted by statements that ring true, that someone has probably spent their whole lives trying to avoid. Anyway, I can't really speak for men on this, but I have always believed that men and women are in this together, which is why I don't particularly enjoy content or conversations which are one sided. Uh, yes, believing that men need help does not invalidate the fact that women need help. But women needing help doesn't mean that men don't. And it doesn't make women men haters or vice versa. It's just we're in this shit together. I wanted to read some of the things that resonated with me, I suppose. They're not too long, so just 3 pages. This is from chapter 3 called Being a Boy. Boys are not seen as lovable in a patriarchal culture. Even though sexism has always decreed that boy children have more status than girls, status and even the rewards of privilege are not the same as being loved. Patriarchal assault on the emotional life of boys begins at the moment of their birth. Contrary to sexist mythology, in the real world of male and female babies, male babies express themselves more. They cry longer and louder. They come into the world wanting to be seen and heard. Sexist thinking at its worst leads many parents to let male infants cry without a comforting touch because they fear that holding a baby boy too much, comforting them too much, might cause them to grow up wimpy. Thankfully, there has been enough of a break with rigid sexist roles to allow aware parents to reject this faulty logic and give boy babies the same comfort that they give or would give girls. Like, can you? That is fucked up. This is from page 143. To heal, men must learn to feel again. They must learn to break the silence, to speak the pain. Often, men, to speak the pain, first turn to the women in their lives and are refused a hearing. In many ways, women have bought into the patriarchal masculine mistake. Asked to witness a male expressing feelings, to listen to those feelings and respond, they may simply turn away. There was a time when I would often ask the man in my life to tell me his feelings. And yet, when he began to speak, I would either interrupt or silence him by crying, sending him the message that his feelings were too heavy for anyone to hear. So it was best if he kept them to himself. As I matured, as my feminist consciousness developed to include the recognition of patriarchal abuse of men, I could hear male pain. I could see men as comrades and fellow travelers on the journey of life, and not as existing merely to provide instrumental support. Since men have yet to organize a feminist men's movement that would proclaim the rights of men to emotional awareness and expression, we will not know how many men have indeed tried to express feelings only to have the women in their lives tune out or be turned off. Like, yeah. Talking with men, I have been stunned when individual males would confess to sharing intense feelings with a male buddy, only to have that buddy either interrupt to silence the sharing, offer no response, or distance himself. And finally, women who want men to love know that that cannot really happen without a revolution of consciousness where men stop patriarchal thinking and action. Because sexist roles have always given women support for emotional development, it has been easier for women to find our way to love. We do not love better or more than men, but we do find it easier to get in touch with feelings because even patriarchal society supports this trait in us. Men will never receive support from patriarchal culture for their emotional development. But if, as enlightened witnesses, we offer the men we love, our fathers, brothers, lovers, friends, comrades, affirmation that they can change as well as assurance that we will accept them when they are changed, transformation will not seem as risky. The book is, of course, full of stuff that's hard to read, even harder to absorb and accept. But I think this is, if you're open to it, this is a really good place to start, essentially. And, like she says, men are comrades. Men and women are fucking comrades. We're in this shit fucking together. Like, the patriarchy hurts all of us. So if you've been questioning, if you've been thinking, if both men and women could do with reading this book, it definitely provides a different perspective, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books ever. It's hard to read, but it's worth it.